leaders around the world are pretty smart, and they're going to invest their money and resources in areas in which they think they can win. Right? And the United States has a leg up now, and the argument is we should continue to weaponize space because it prevents others. They're like, we can't catch up. There's no point of even trying. So it's a deterrent factor. There's a book by Everett Dolman, D-O-L-M-A-N, that you actually want to check out. This author's awesome, by the way, Dolman, D-O-L-M-A-N. I would get my hands on everything this author writes. His book is called Strategy Lost, and it is from 2005, but it's a good one. He makes the argument that there's no one who can challenge us in space now, and to allow us to sit by and stop weaponizing space gives others the chance to catch up. It's like winning a marathon and you pull up a lawn chair and you sit on the side of the road and you stop running, then others will bypass you in the marathon. Right? Everett Dolman. Check him out. Okay, so the second argument about why it's advantageous. Oh, we love us some hedge. We're a world superpower. To control space means we are a hegemon. There's a great phrase, and it's called command of the commons. Command of the commons. The global commons are things that we all share. Air, ocean, space. Those are all global commons. There's some that argue that if we can be in charge of those common areas, that truly represents being a global hegemon. Barry Posen, P-O-S-E-N, actually writes a book called Command of the Commons. It's again a little bit older, 2003, P-O-S-E-N, Barry Posen, Command of the Commons. He argues this: command of the commons is the key military enabler of the U.S. global power position. Think about it. Our Air Force is the world's leading, Air Force capabilities. We control the air. We have the world's best naval capabilities. We control the oceans. Command of the commons also helps the United States to weaken its adversaries by restricting their access to economic, military, and political assistance. Right? It also, Posen argues that if we stop now, like we made space a huge part of our global leadership with the Apollo mission. Right? When Kennedy came out in the 1960s and claimed, we're going to have the man on the moon, we're the ones that included control of space as part of we can kick everyone's butt. And to stop that now is us ceding control and showing some weakness. So it's not only it's not only the hard power, but it's actually controlling those common areas, but it's also soft power and just the ability that we look weak. Yes?
Who was the author?
Posen, P-O-S-E-N, and the book is called Command of the Commons. Yay, U.S. hegemony! U.S. flag wrapped around the world. The third reason why space weaponization is advantageous. Obviously a little sarcastic. The technology developed to protect us and weaponize us from humans can also protect us from extraterrestrials and asteroids. So if you like a little sci-fi, certainly we can go in on this. Yes? Yes?
What is the ET about? Can actually be possible? What if somehow they're different?
We don't know. But some people, the people that say extraterrestrials exist, and the people that even go further say extraterrestrials exist and they're probably hostile, say we should do something. We shouldn't just assume, better than nothing. And it's kind of like the idea that our space weaponization has dual uses. Obviously, we need it to do the other things, to fight off actual human enemies. But that technology can also protect us, possibly, from extraterrestrials, okay, if they exist and if they're hostile, as well as asteroids, okay, which could be an inadvertent collision. Colin Gray, G-R-A-Y, an old book, 1999, but still a good one. It's called Space Power and the Revolution of Military Affairs. We've heard that term. I would just write Space Power and the RMA if you're writing down this. There's Colin Gray, G-R-A-Y, 1999. Space Power and the Revolution of Military Affairs is the book title. Argues threats originating from far beyond the Earth-Moon system may appear from beyond our solar system. If they do, we'll be fortunate if we are able to note the approach of such a threat, let alone equipped to see them at launch. Still, one might be anxious about the kinds of futures signaled in the scenarios of movies Independence Day and Starship Troopers. Far-fetched, even comics such movies they will be, that we can act as a reminder that we may be at peace with ourselves as humans, but would the universe be at peace with us? That's a pretty good quote. Asteroids also a potential threat. A lot of these space weaponizations can have dual uses. Independence Day, where the humans get fight back the aliens.
Good luck, buddy.
Space weaponization, I'm not sure if we actually battled the aliens that would look like that, but maybe it would, I don't know. Okay, we also know about asteroids.
I'm Jorge Ribas, and you're wondering. There's a 1 in 45,000 chance that in 2029, the Earth is going to get broadsided by an asteroid named Apophis.
Yeah.
But even if a killer rock does invade our personal space, so what? We know what to do. The movies showed us how. Just set up a couple nukes, a couple slow-mo action sequences later, and the Earth is safe. Right?
It's a horrible idea, but it may actually be the best one available.
Okay, that's not exactly the ringing endorsement I was looking for.
Let's say it was targeted at Washington, and instead we cut it in a whole bunch of pieces, but one of those pieces hit Paris. That's going to be very bad. Okay?
My God. What do we do?
Okay, so no missiles. But what about some of the other inventive ideas out there, like using rocket boosters, mirrors, or even a fresh coat of paint to nudge it out of Earth's orbit?
Well, if you make the asteroid such that it either absorbs a lot of light on one side, painting it black, for instance, or reflects a lot on the other side, painting it white, you change the characteristics. Painting the asteroid undoubtedly will change the orbit. Predicting the changes in the orbit based on that is anybody's guess.
And that's because no matter the solution, we're missing some key info about asteroids and other near-Earth objects.
But we don't know how coherent, we don't know their content, that we don't know a lot about them that we would need to know from, say, an engineering point of view.
The kind of engineering it would take to come up with a way to move or destroy one.
Right now what we've got is hundreds of thousands of asteroids. And out of those hundreds of thousands, we've spectrally classified maybe 5,000.
Which basically means they've named them.
No one has ever gone to the surface of a number of different asteroids of different spectral classes and done the real geological characterization.
That's something NASA hopes to change, and there are a number of ongoing and future missions that could give us a head start on how to deal with any bad days and world destroyers lurking out there.
In terms of the science and the engineering, I don't think there's any doubt that we could have a solution that would, especially with 10 or 20 years worth of warning, that could deflect, break up, or otherwise even utilize the asteroid.
Wait, blowing it up makes sense to me, even moving it. But how would you utilize an asteroid?
These things are already in space. The most expensive thing that you've got in terms of putting infrastructure into orbit is getting it off the surface of the Earth.
That means an asteroid made of iron or frozen water suddenly becomes a resource that can be mined and used for space exploration.
It's the exact same technology that will allow you to do that. If you can get there and you can deflect it, well, you can put it where you want to. So you can put it in orbit around the moon. So if you can move it, you can use it.
Obviously, a little bit more than just about how space weaponization can solve asteroids, an impending asteroid collision, but I think it was important to kind of talk about the threat of asteroids and so forth. The idea of asteroid mining, all of that, that certainly could be potential ground for an affirmative. Going back to our initial proposition that U.S. weaponization of space is advantageous, we talked about 3 key arguments, right? Okay, deter others from entering the space arms race. Okay, protection of extraterrestrial and asteroid threats. And then what was the third? Hedge. Okay, so now we're going to look at the no side of the question. So, the disadvantages, some of the disadvantages of U.S. weaponization. So, no, it's not. Okay, so this is the no, it's not side. Not advantageous. Okay, this is actually a very interesting argument to me, and that is that the more we build up our space militarization capabilities, whether it's our ASATs, offensive weapons, actually harms the commercial space industry. For a couple reasons. I had no idea that there's such a thing as satellite insurance. But there is, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but do a little research. I was shocked at how big of an industry, and I know that sounds silly, but companies own satellites. It's not just NASA sending up satellites in outer space, and those satellites have to be insured. Okay? Satellite insurance business is extremely volatile. I found this statistic interesting. In the last 4 years, satellite insurance rate, so to insure your satellite, has risen 129%. 129%. The more we put up in space, the more potential harm. Satellites can run into each other, and we'll talk a little about space debris here in a second. It causes those satellites to become more volatile. So the more we add, the more we risk the satellites we do have not functioning as much. And that not only includes our government satellites, but satellites in the commercial sector as well. Okay, the mere presence of space weapons pose a risk to those commercial satellites, okay, as well. So if we start putting space weapons up there, just our regular commercial benign satellites are going to be a problem. The second reason why the commercial sector would be harmed is by space debris. We put our commercial satellites up in space, maybe there's commercial space travel. If we weaponize space, the weaponization of space, a huge disad or consequence of that is space debris. Okay? Unfortunately, there are anywhere from 30,000 to 100,000 untracked objects between 1 centimeter and 10 centimeters of diameter. I'll repeat that. They're between up to 100,000 untracked objects between 1 centimeter and 10 centimeters diameters, which is large enough to cause massive devastations in space vehicles, even something 1 centimeter large, and an enormous number of particles smaller than 1 centimeter that can still do some damage. I have 2 interesting videos for you to watch. The first is very small, no sound, but it shows the Earth in a timeline of how much space debris there was in like the 50s and 60s, and what there is now. So there's no sound. It's just you'll see the 1957. All the little dots that are coming up is all symbolizing different space debris. Space debris. Well, we're just up to 1976. We haven't even gotten to the Chinese ASAT build-up. Oh, 2000. And I wish this went through 2010. Because remember, the Chinese ASAT, the satellite that was blown up in space, contributed a whole lot. Okay, the next video is a little cheesy, but I love it. It gives some anecdotal evidence about some different kind of unique types of space debris. Astronauts have lost a couple things in outer space when they've been up there. It talks about the Skylab and the amount of debris that caused. So certainly not just weaponization of space causes space debris. It's a huge component of it. Overall, space exploration can cause space debris. I don't think it... Yeah, I was having trouble loading, so I actually have it here already.
And sometimes being
it's a little cheesy, but I thought it was pretty
even
cute.
the best discoveries come from an idea that's really space out.
Since space exploration began, we have launched at least 25,000 explorers, satellites, shuttles, and ships. Much of what we've sent up there is getting old or has outlived its purpose. There are 3 satellites, for example. The no longer transmitting Vanguard 1 has been in space since 1958, Vanguards 2 and 3 since 59.
Remember that was our
Now
response?
they're just orbiting space relics.
Vanguard 1 celebrated 50 years in space, March 17, 2008. She couldn't be reached for comment. Such a diva.